Married men of Reddit, what was that dumb thing you did during your dating phase that you can't believe your wife ended up overlooking? Not my story, but my parents. Some backstory: my dad has a brother who's only a couple years older. Growing up, they'd commonly try to steal food off each other's plates just to be assholes to each other. This was remedied by plate guarding and defensive maneuvers with utensils if hands got too close. On my parents' first date, my mom reached for something to try off my dad's plate and he instinctively stabbed her hand with his fork, drew blood and everything. Glad my mom was crazy enough to keep dating, marry, and procreate with the fork stabber. Not the married man, but on probably our third or fourth date, my man mixed our soups. I got a watermelon gazpacho, a cold soup, and he got a seafood bisque. I'm a sharer, so we both tasted and didn't love mine, but we loved his. After the tasting, he boldly yet nervously states, "Mine is so great. I got this while pouring our two soups into one. It was the worst lukewarm thing I've ever tasted." 5 years later and we've never mixed soups again. Too risky. Wife was a devout animal lover and activist. Planned proposal at a fancy Tokyo restaurant that only takes 3 tables a night and has 11 courses, which was filled with all sorts of innovative things, so you're never quite sure what's coming next. In between one of the courses, the chef brings out a cute little glass bowl for us to play with some squid. The chef informs us these are firefly squid that's local to the bay. My wife is delighted and practically named them. 2 courses later they reappeared as entrees, floating on a glass plate lit up from below and arranged to look like they're swimming. She still said yes but have never let me forgot that I took her on literally the worst dining experience she had, and I had paid the most ever for. I get very nervous around women that are into me, and especially when I know she's watching me do something, even something trivial. On an early date, we went to the local shop to pick up some things for a picnic, including some gum. I was thinking really hard and aware that I was being watched. I had this: money on the counter, gum in your mouth. Money on the counter, gum in your mouth. Easy. Suffice to say, when I put the gum on the counter and the €2 coin in my mouth, the cashier was baffled and my girlfriend, now wife, was crying with laughter. My husband broke my thumb one night when we were slightly tipsy. Horseplay got too rough and I think drunk memory he slammed my hand against something. We both heard the pop and I went to tears. Not me, but my next door neighbor's story. She was at a party, and caught him looking at her every now and then. She kinda liked him, so she decided to make the first move. She took a few shots for courage and went in. As time passed by she continued to drink while talking to him, and got pissed drunk, like not being able to walk drunk. He was a type of guy that didn't drink that much at all, and presumed she can drink a lot. But when she stood up from couch after few hours, the alcohol swept her to the ground. So as a gentleman he offered to carry her home. Note that was when we were late teens. No car, no money, so he started to piggyback her home. That was like 30 to 45 minutes walk, like normal sober walk. He managed to carry her on his back about 500 meters from her home, and stopped to take a break for a moment. His back hurt him AF, so he decided to carry her in his arms. A few steps away, and he notices very unpleasant smell. Since he isn't from our parts and it was rural area, he asked, barely conscious, her, "What is that stink?" She just mumbled, "I shat my pants," then proceeded to pass out in his arms, only coming back to mumble, "Sorry," and passing out again. So what guy does? He brings her home and lies her on floor, since he was afraid of messing up her bed or couch, and left home. But few moments after he comes back, wakes her up and asks would she mind if he helped her shower, since she can't sleep 8 shat up, mostly because it's not hygienic, safe, and her whole house and everything would smell. She agreed, and after he bathed her she asked him to sleep in her bed, in case she needed him. So one time I asked Guy how the did he got over that. He said they clicked at the first glance, and he just felt that he needs to take care of her because he took responsibility to bring her home all right, and if she said no to bathing he would back off, but then wouldn't be with her, because shitting yourself while dead drunk is still understandable, but sleeping whole day like that would be too nasty. He laid beside her until she fell asleep, and then watched TV until she woke up. They were inseparable since then. Since that first date I have never seen them apart. It's been almost 15 years since then, and just recently they had a beautiful little daughter. We had a couple great dates and things were looking promising. Then I got super busy at work and didn't contact her for about 3.5 weeks without giving her a heads up. She decided to move during this time. After things calmed down at work, I text her again. We worked things long distance and finally got married. She reminds me that I didn't ask her out again for a very long time, every few months. I forgot her name once when introducing her to a friend. This was maybe a month into our relationship. I was all like, hey, and by the way, this is, my girlfriend. Turned her down when she suggested we go on a date. Readers, I'm super awkward. I was working for Starbucks. She was a regular customer. I was new in town and noticed her a couple times. She was a regular customer and we got to some small talk, chatting about places to eat. She said there's an amazing taco place down the road. We should go sometime. I misheard her, thinking she said you should go sometime. I replied with I'll definitely check it out. I handed her a drink and she left very awkwardly. She was back in the next day and, against all odds, I was able to clear up the misunderstanding and I wrote my number on her Starbucks cup. We went to that taco place for our first date and she was right. It was amazing. 3 years married and 2 kids later. Really glad she saw through my awkwardness. I was sitting on the couch as we were playing Wii bowling. She was standing behind the couch, lovingly holding me. I draw back the Wiimote and wham! I whack her in the face with the Wiimote at full strength. Her mom was also in the room. Soon as I saw playing Wii, I knew. We both knew. My husband kept calling me by the name of his previous girlfriend on our first date. I finally told him to give her a call because they clearly had unfinished business to talk about. He did, and she reminded him why he was happy to have her out of his life. And he never called me by her name again. 40 years later, and it seems to have worked out in my favor. Accidentally set her hair on fire with a match while lighting a cigarette. Not good. We are still married 29 years later. I don't smoke anymore. We drank a lot on our second date. Ubered home. Next day went back to get his car, and it wasn't there. He was so devastated. He just bought it recently and it was stolen. We filed a police report. Took forever and just generally sucked. We walked to his friend's house nearby, and there was his car, perfectly unstolen. He drank so much he forgot he moved it before our date. Now, once in a while when we're trying to find our car in the grocery store parking lot or wherever, one of us will say it's stolen. Call the police. I didn't really do it, but I thought he would be weirded out anyways. Very first time he stayed at my house after about 3 hours of my 2 male roommates trying to make him uncomfortable. We went to bed and he put his contacts in 2 shot glasses of water because he had no case with him. I don't know if that's a dumb thing to do. I've never worn them. Maybe we were drinking and that seemed like a good idea. Anyways. He had never had a pet and was kind of weirded out by my cat standing beside him and yell meowing at him all night. Is that normal? Is he mad at me or something? Woke up the next day to find out the cat drank all the water from the shot glasses, contacts included. I had to help him home because he is seriously blind without them. He still wanted to see me again even though the night was weird, and the cat became his best friend, despite some initial skepticism on both their parts. On my first date with my wife, we got to talking about tattoos. I have a rule that if I have an idea for a tattoo, I sit on it for a while to see if I really would still want it. I mentioned this to her and explained how glad I am that I do this because otherwise I'd be covered in Tool the band tattoos or some other dumb shit. She rolled up her sleeve to show me that she had the lyrics to one of their songs tattooed across her arm. The lyrics are "All this pain is an illusion" from Parabola. Soon-to-be wife here. When we first met, it was during an introduction class or something like that. He kept kissing the teacher's ass and talking waay too much and just being kinda of a show-off. I wanted to punch him in the face. Come to find out he's in almost all my classes, and for lunch a couple of girls and I decided to go to McDonald's. He invited himself. I was annoyed. 2 months into our relationship, he confessed that he saw me and was intrigued and wanted to get to know me, so he did everything to get my attention. He's an extrovert. I'm an introvert. I'm surprised he managed to actually get my attention. We've been together for 10 years, getting married on September 23rd. Played Weird Al CDs non-stop for a 6-hour car trip to the beach. She didn't ditch me but haven't been allowed to play Weird Al in her presence for the past 24 years. Got tickets to see him this year on our anniversary and knew better than to ask her to join me, so I took a couple of my kids that appreciate the finer things in life. Best anniversary gift ever. Great show. 5 years ago, after dating for 2 weeks, I accepted a job offer on another continent. I told her we didn't know each other well enough for me to pass up an opportunity like that, and if it was meant to be, it would work itself out. Well, it was meant to be, and we got married this spring. On our second date, I arrived 1h late. When I went to greet her with a little hug, yep, that's how we greet people around here, I accidentally knocked her phone off her hand. It hit the ground and cracked the screen, but I wasn't sure if it was already cracked. I apologized. She said it was okay and that the screen was already like that before. Almost a year later, she confessed that I actually broke her phone that day. She had just gotten it from her mom. All phones she ever had were second-hand. Very simple ones, and she couldn't afford a new one at the time. But still she lied and kept using the broken phone so I wouldn't feel bad. My heart sank. We've been married for 2 years now, and I've given her a brand new flagship phone every year ever since.